Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight we get together to talk about movie, TV and online content and help you answer the question, is there an unhealthy amount of content to watch a day during this quarantine? No, just keep watching. Just keep watching. I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me this episode is Dylan Blatt.
I thought he was about to say just keep watching stuff. I'm like, that's the outro of the show.
Yeah. I just didn't even think of that. Also joining us this episode, Ciaran Marchant.
Doesn't the content that they're watching is like dependent though. Sometimes if you're watching some stuff, it might be bad. You know, there's some stuff that isn't good stuff to keep watching. Like if you're still watching like the later seasons of The Simpsons, like just stop and just keep rewatching the first 10 seasons.
Just keep watching. You know, it all blurs together.
Stuff, I guess.
Just keep watching stuff. I guess it's good. It all blurs together. Alright, this episode we'll be talking about what's in our watch history. We'll be going over some news and previewing some things. And then we'll be talking about the movie we ended up watching before sunrise. So let's jump into our watch history, or what is mostly going to end up probably being my watch history. Start kicking things off with Wrestlemania. This year, 36.
WrestleMania PC. No, it's PC. It doesn't have a number
WrestleMania
anymore,
PC, WrestleMania Pirate Flag.
Yes. Pirate Center WrestleMania.
Yes. One of the few sporting related events that is still being performed, I guess, is the best word. It took place this weekend. Obviously, because of coronavirus, struck, couldn't perform at the big stadium over in Tampa Bay. So everything got moved to an empty performance center where there was no audience, which they've been doing shows for the last month or so. I watched the entire show. Did any of you guys watch?
I watched bits and pieces of it. I'm off the bandwagon a little bit with WWE at the moment. I keep up with it though, and I watch the important bit, like the two matches that everybody's been talking about. It's really interesting. Looking back at Mania now, especially there's news now coming out of which wrestlers potentially could have actually had coronavirus or were cleared, just a whole mess of that situation. But other than that, it wasn't a terrible show. It was okay, I guess.
Yes. Obviously, first time ever, they split it over 2 nights, mostly for scheduling reasons, I suspect. But then even though the show was entirely pre-recorded.
I don't think it was scheduling. I think it was more the amount of people they could have in the one place at one time. Well,
that's kind of a scheduling issue. If you can only have X amount of people in there at a certain time. It was still very long. Each night was like 3+ hours. So if they had have done that all in one... If that was the planned show for WrestleMania, it would have been a good 6-hour plus show. Plus get matches they would have cut because of... They couldn't get people together. So I enjoyed it overall. I think there were a lot of solid matches, a few standouts. It did tend to drag a lot of time. It is interesting watching wrestling with no crowds. There are certain people who are very good at the trash talk. There's certain people not very good at the trash talk.
It's really interesting. Even people from within the business itself, like Chris Jericho, who's former WWE and over in AEW, he tweeted out that WrestleMania was really good, but he muted the sound and just watched it in silence. And he said it was much better in silence than it was with sound. So I think I saw people online watching it with like their own like crowd noises. Like they kind of just got an iPad sat there making crowd noises and stuff. It's a weird environment.
I mean, now that it's just been shot and it's there, why aren't they going over and pulling in the WWE 2K18 crowd and putting it into the the game?
Well, I think it'd be weird, right? Like,
yeah, I guess
there's nobody actually there.
Yeah,
and I guess they're trying to. Even though in the past it has been known that WWE does edit crowd noise in their shows.
Roman Reigns.
Well, yes. I don't think they would have done it so obviously. So, but overall, yeah.
Yeah, so cool results, a lot of title changes, some surprising, some not surprising. But there were two matches that caught everyone's attention, really. The first was closed the first night of WrestleMania, AJ Styles versus The Undertaker in a Boneyard match, which was very much a callback to the Matt Hardy deletion era matches of that style, where it was all staged and shot almost like an action film. I thought it was pretty good, except, I mean, obviously Undertaker is not a young man, so it looked a little bit weird at certain points.
It's better than his it's really weird. His current persona in the American Badass, he looks much younger than he does when he's playing his Phenom persona, where he's the dead man. He looked a little better, but he's still 50 something, and
a bit higher than that.
Yeah, it was, and afterwards, coming out afterward, that it was like an 8-hour shooting day, that they did like multiple takes of some sections. It was, it's interesting.
Yeah. Dylan, I believe you watched this one as well. Or what'd you think?
So I've recently become I've recently been pulled consistently towards watching fucking AEW. And if no video games continue to come out, I'm going to have to replace that with something, so I'll just keep watching AEW.
Cool.
Putting that out on the record. So I've been catching up on like all the Matt Hardy stuff because I started watching his YouTube channel recently, and I got into that, and I was like, this is some crazy, interesting shit. And then I was following that all the way through to when he showed up like a couple weeks ago, whenever it was. So straight away, because I've been on a recent binge of reading up and catching up on Matt Hardy history since I stopped paying attention to wrestling. As soon as this stuff happens, I'm like, this is a rip-off. And then I'm like, I look at the internet, see everyone else being like, this is a rip-off. I'm like, wow, no, I should stop paying attention now because I don't want to become a wrestling fan.
The thing is, right,
a wrestling mark.
It was funny that Matt himself tweeted out after the show and said, this is the most over I've been as a singles competitor in WWE, and I'm no longer with the organization. Like, everybody could tell that both of these two matches had a very Matt Hardy feel to them. It was something that he put his heart and soul in them. I'd love to know after the show, after we record this, Dylan, your thoughts about reading up on the previous history of Matt Hardy since you chose, because I'd love to know what reading that is like, because you've got like multiple souls that have embodied his vessel now.
Oh, that's why I was loving this YouTube thing at the moment, because as soon as I got into it and this whole recent thing was about becoming Damascus or whatever, I was like, this is great, let's keep going. and then Buddy Watson, friend of the show, was like, oh, you gotta watch AEW now, because he's like, I don't want to spoil it, but you should watch it. I'm like, okay. So I like look up the clip, and then I'm fucking watching it and I hear a drone flying in. I'm like, oh shit.
The stuff they do with drones in AEW has always been good. Guardian 1 has always been very funny. But
I watched that Chris Jericho clip on Twitter as well, which was hilarious. He had the shirt for it. He's like, come on, Guardian 1, I got the shirt, put on the shirt. And then he runs and chases after. Sit the dogs!
It not only does it show the creativeness of that bit and what Matt Hardy does with it, but also just how good Chris Jericho is, that he can do a proper promo on a drone. And that's all there is in the middle of the ring, and he's just yelling at a drone for a good 2 minutes. It's great. Fantastic.
I mean, this is a whole like side tangent about wrestling at the moment, but I've been somewhat like keeping up with AEW stuff ever since it kicked off. What, a year ago now, roughly, or something like that, basically.
Yeah, it's about a little bit under that, but yeah,
a bit under. Because I just found it interesting to see something new starting and whatever else. So I read and what you'll hear and whatever else and keep up with it, because I think every time I read something about WWE, I'm like, why does anyone watch this shit anymore? It just seems like super boring and whatever else. So as soon as AEW showed, I'm like, this seems exciting and new and fresh, and they've got heaps of interesting and cool people working there. You know, like the fact that they straight away start up and they're like had the first trans,
the first
or whatever else, and
Sunny Kiss.
Yeah, so it's like straight away I'm like, oh, I like these people. They seem to be like, we're gonna move wrestling into a new and interesting direction. And the fact that they just keep hiring people and like Matt Hardy, you're like, you know what do you want to do, Matt? I want to have a match where I'm like controlled by a demon god and whatever the fuck else is. And they're like, cool, go for it. I'm like, okay.
Well, I think there was. If you ever see, if you're ever going back and you feel bored while you've got no games, definitely check out the Hardys versus the Young Bucks. That was their last kind of story before they went back to WWE. And Matt Hardy's promos are just so funny. Just the way he talks and just like the way he interacts with those two especially is so good, which is why him coming to AEW feels so refreshing and so made for it, just because he has that good working relationship with them. It's something that's definitely exciting to watch down, just to see what crazy stuff they're going to do with them.
I think I just enjoy the drama too, and like the hot shots that they take at Chris McMahon and whoever the fuck else. Because there's like Vince McMahon, sorry, Vince McMahon, all the hot shots they take, like in that last thing where Matt Hardy showed up and Jericho's there, and Jericho's like, look, I understand what it's like to be given the shit matches. I too have been, like all this. Yeah. They like have hot shots and stuff. I'm like, yes, bury them.
There's a lot of shots at WWE through AEW's history so far. It's amusing. Yeah, but the Boneyard match was something.
That was So that would pretty off topic. No, I enjoyed. I would say that even when I was into wrestling, when I was like a teenager and I used to watch it like every week, I've always enjoyed more just the stories rather than the matches themselves. So I guess the more cinematic flair stuff hits the right points for me, because it just means that you get to tell more of an interesting story within the matches and not have it be just a normal wrestling thing. Like, it's not like I ever hated wrestling. Like it was fun to watch, but I always just enjoyed more the drama beforehand and the drama after. So having more cinematic, cut together, special effects, whatever matches like this one with the Boneyard match, I wouldn't want everything to be like that, yet at the same time I think doing more of that wouldn't be a bad idea. It's certainly exciting to watch.
And doing more of it well. Not doing, like, they've attempted to do these types of things in the past with the previous Bray Wyatt matches, but they weren't good. I don't think there was ever been much interest in them. I think, for me, I'm always going to be disappointed in Undertaker matches for like the rest of his whatever wrestling career he has left. And anytime he talks about retiring after a match, I always get really angry and frustrated, because he had the perfect retirement moment. Like, he had the perfect ride off into the sunset moment a couple WrestleManias ago where he lost to Roman Reigns. Was it Reigns? Yeah, he lost to Roman Reigns. The last shot of the show, and he left his coat, his gloves, and his hat in the middle of the ring and walked out. And it was something that was just like, you felt while watching it, this is the last time we'll ever see him. And that was quickly changed by some Arabic people with a lot of money. That was, it's
but if you're interested in finding out that story, the Undertaker miniseries is coming to WWE Network sometime this year.
Didn't the first episode?
There was like a first look, which is like 15 minutes.
Oh, okay.
From the start of the first episode, which kicks off with him going to WrestleMania, whichever one that was, against Roman Reigns.
Okay. I think it was 34 or 35. No, it's 34 because he's done one WrestleMania match since.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
Okay.
But
yes, Boneyard match, really interesting. I mean, interesting result. AJ Styles rip. Then night 2, right before the final match of the night, the penultimate match, some would say, they had the Firefly Funhouse match between Bray Wyatt, or The Fiend, and John Cena, and this was a trip. It was kind of a promo match, I guess. It was like a trip down memory lane. It was just bonkers all over the place.
It's like the most meta thing WWE I think has ever done.
Yes,
like the most like it shows, like every time everything that WWE does feels so deaf. Like they feel so ignorant of what everybody's talking about, or what everybody in the audience wants, or what the wrestling community sees of it. And this started from an interview with John Cena that everybody was complaining about a couple of days beforehand, where he, quote unquote, buried Bray Wyatt again, because he said all I've got to do is remember the feed is just Husky Harris in a mask. And everybody was, oh, John Cena's at it again. He's burying another person. He's really not putting this over, blah, blah, blah. But then to see how they've transitioned that into the storytelling of the actual match is amazing. It's so interesting. And so actually, I kind of say it was narratively, it was probably the best thing that WWE's done in a little while.
Yeah, definitely. It's really interesting looking at hearing different people read into different aspects of the match, and like shout out to the guys at Cultaholic who do a lot of wrestling in fantastic stuff. Like the realization for John Cena that he was a heel all along, that he's been the bully, he's been picking on everybody and been like the guy holding everybody back, and then for him to meet his fate and have his words about Bray Wyatt kind of used against him in that final moment. Great. They cut back to obviously his first match where he was up against Kurt Angle in his
in his
tight shorts, with ruthless aggression, and Bray Wyatt rubbing it in about Nikki Bella. Slight jab, bunch of slight jabs, little references if you've been following wrestling history last couple of decades. And maybe this is the end of John Cena. Maybe this is the last match he ever wrestles.
No, I don't think it is. I'm interested to see how he comes back in the future. If he comes back as a heel or as more of I don't know if a heel is the right word, but the storyline so far is that everybody that Bray Wyatt has gone up against has changed in some way. Daniel Bryan became good again when he went up against him. Seth Rollins went bad again after he went up against him. It's interesting to see where they take this and what they do with John Cena's character overall. I don't think it's the end. I really don't think it's the end. I think he loves the business too much, and if The Undertaker is anything to go by, I think we've got many years of John Cena left.
Maybe he does come back as a heel, like around the time Fast and Furious comes out.
Oh my gosh, that would... Oh. He was all a marketing ploy all along.
Yeah. That would be a cool
Vin
twist.
Diesel cracked a couple Coronas with Vince McMahon and was like, we need to make John Cena bad around the time that Fast and Furious comes out.
So he was about to turn heel here, but it got delayed.
Got delayed.
But yeah, WrestleMania, interesting show. Interesting. There are some cool matches. I think Charlotte versus Rhea Ripley was really good. Obviously, the tag team triple threat ladder match was well received. The big title matches, not so good. They were very short, to say the least.
I think the biggest disappointment was Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler. Also, the amount of roll-up wins really annoyed me. Because just going through of this match finished with a roll-up, this finished with a roll-up, it's like, oh, roll-up's cool if you use it like once or twice as like a surprise, but when every other match is finishing in a roll-up, it's
not great.
Yeah, not great.
Also, shout out to Otis, the big winner of the night.
Oh, got the girl. Biggest winner.
He finally got the girl. It was beautiful. But while we're talking about wrestling, I just want to mention, if you did do your free subscription on WWE Network to check out WrestleMania, I'd highly suggest checking out the 24 documentary Edge, the Second Mountain, which kind of follows his path back to wrestling after 9 years because of injuries, kind of exploring how he found out he could potentially come back, and like it just so happened that we were shooting a documentary because he was going to be there at SummerSlam last year in Toronto, and then things snowballed until he came back at the Royal Rumble. It is a fun, emotional journey that Edge was one of those. I think I got into wrestling about 2010, like right before he retired. So that was like a big thing for me. I think he was like the wrestler that I got into like right at the start, and then for him to get snatched away right before I had much of a chance to get invested.
Like,
yeah,
I cried during his WrestleMania, his Royal Rumble return. Like that shit was heavy for me, even though it was pretty obvious it was coming. It was just, I think he has the best wrestling theme, like entrance theme of all time. But just to see him back was really good. He's been robbed to have been taken away for so long.
Yeah. Also, they do a supercut of people reacting to his return. Perfect. That's great.
But then it was sad what they did with his return match with Randy Orton.
Yeah, it was kind of long.
It's not good.
Apparently, people got upset because of like the hanging thing or the gym thing, because apparently it's too similar to Chris Benoit's thing.
Oh fuck! Okay, I didn't even think of that. My funny one, the funny one was after that. I really like. I follow both Edge and his wife Beth Phoenix on Twitter.
Yeah,
and she always tweets about his matches. And like she just had a picture after the match. She said, "I thought I said no more ladders," and it was Edge climbing up a ladder to get on the scaffolding. It's very amusing.
Yeah. So Dylan, you finished your second watch of Watchmen. Was it as good as the first watch?
Yes, I would implore anyone who hasn't watched it already to obviously watch it. It's one of the best shows of last year. Maybe if it was finished by the time we voted, we constantly in alternate reality, would it have ended up beating Chernobyl here? Maybe, don't know. But even if you have watched it, I would say it's definitely required second watching, because without spoiling it, obviously, by the time you reach the end of the series, there's so many reveals and twists and turns that are things that have been kind of in plain view the entire time. And rewatching it this time, even from the first episode, I'm like, that's there. Oh, that's a reference. Like, I'm just picking up on so many little things. Then also I spotted more little bits of trivia just on newspapers and all these other sorts of things. So it was really, really great. It's weird because I can't remember the last time I rewatched a TV show full stop. And I did it, as I said, Ash off it the other day when I was like, I finished it. I did do it over 2 months, so it wasn't like I just binged it. I basically watched it at the same pace it came out originally, kind of thing. But it was to say I watched something twice, I would say that gives it double marks, because I usually don't. I'm like, there's so many things to watch, so many movies, games, TV shows, whatever else. I ain't got time to rewatch shit twice, but
especially
I love this so much.
Especially with what you've done the last couple of weeks, with what you've had to do for games and stuff, to still have found time, made time to watch episodes. It's all a balance. It's, I should probably eat food. So while I'll eat the food, I'll watch the episode. And then I'll go back to doing something else. So it was always a multitasking it with something else. So I didn't feel like I was wasting, quote unquote, wasting time. I was like, well, I got to eat.
True. Speaking of things you watched twice, you watched Birds of Prey again, now that it's available on video on demand. No, it's available to buy now, isn't it?
Yeah, I straight up just brought it because I wanted to. Wanted a family movie the other night.
Yeah.
I was like, what do you watch? I'm like, I really want to watch Birds of Prey, but you can't rent it. I'm like, fuck it, I'll buy it. I'm not going to a store, so fuck it, I'll just buy it digitally and watch it, because I really wanted to. I did want to rewatch that again too, because I think when I went in the first time to watch it, obviously me and Ash talked about this, did a spoiler casting and so on for it. But I remember going in the first time, I was hoping it would be okay. So I kind of went in going like, prepared for the worst, because I really hate Suicide Squad. Like, that's my least favorite of the bunch. And then coming out the other end, I was like really pleasantly surprised and really, really enjoyed it. So being able to go in this time, knowing how much I like it, I got to just go in being like, I like this movie. This movie's fun. Let's go have a great time. And on that again, I would implore people, if you didn't watch it, because Suicide Squad sucks, you should. And also, it's very easily probably going to be one of the most, I think when we reach the end of the year, it's going to be in one of those categories of people didn't give it a chance because of that, and they're going to miss out on a really great movie. It's most comparable, obviously, to Deadpool. Still watching it, I'm like, this is like their version of Deadpool, but even though it's not even the same, but it's like the closest, I guess, you've got so far. I think Birds of Prey is better than both Deadpool movies, in my opinion. I think it's funnier. I think the character's better. My complaint still stands from when we talked about it originally, which is that there's too many characters and sometimes they get lost. However, watching it the second time and knowing like what that is, I didn't get as kind of annoyed by that. I was just able to know what to expect.
I do remember, like, in my first initial watching, I was disappointed with Huntress's part of the movie. I think she's the one least used in the whole movie. Like, she kind of is
you're left wanting more. That's what it is.
Yeah,
you're not disappointed. It's unfortunate. You want more.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but it's just the way they introduced her character and story, it made sense for her to not get much time.
Yeah.
Throughout the majority of the movie. So then by the time they she does join the party. Spoilers, not spoilers, because it's in the trailer. By the time you reach that point, it's like we're reaching the finish line. So it's just the cards she got dealt kind of thing. But yeah, Birds of Prey is great. It's just really fun. I hope they continue that tone for future Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn, whatever movies.
Cool. So I checked out the documentary series on Amazon, The Test, which followed the Australian cricket team for like 18 months following the sandpaper scandal in South Africa, through their series against India, through to the One Day World Cup, and then finally the Ashes, where they beat England to retain the Ashes. Yes. Obviously I'm a cricket fan. I enjoyed this kind of look behind the scenes. It's very much focused on Justin Langer, who was the coach who came in after the scandal, where a lot of people were suspended, a lot of people stepped down, and him trying to rebuild this team that kind of lost their two best players, arguably. And then I guess it's a fun watch, especially more interesting watching it since Marnus Langbishang, who was like a fringe player, like in the start of the series, has suddenly become like one of the best players in the world, and seeing like his beginnings, and especially during that Ashes series where he came in as like a substitute to earn his place in the side. But I wish they kind of delved into like the sandpaper thing a bit more. If it kind of gloss over it, and they don't really. There's a couple of interviews with like David Warner and Steve Smith, but
do you think that is done because it's something that you don't really, even though objectively you want to go into it and really dive into it a lot, but at the same time, it's one of those topics where I feel like it would affect somebody like Steve Smith very negatively to dive in and pull that apart even more.
No, yeah, I feel like that's something they'll discuss like at the end of his career or something like that.
Yeah,
or it will be like the focus of its own separate thing. I think they had a clear vision of what they wanted it to be, and they just like, it's gonna change the narrative of the series, I think. So yeah, it was enjoyable, fun to relive England losing to Australia again, which is always a good time.
Did they do much around Steve Smith's return? Because I think that's when I've seen the ads for it on when going into Twitch streams and stuff. That's part of it that's kind of more intrigued me the most. Is like, even like as a non-major cricket fan, seeing him return to cricket and in the style he did in the Ashes was really entertaining and really interesting to watch. So to see that, does that get explored much in the documentary side of things?
I mean, not really. They like talk to him about certain things, but it's not like how's his mindset changed or how did he go into it and that kind of thing. It's just kind of it's very much of the similar ilk of sports documentaries you've seen there recently that follow teams or crews for a certain period of time. But yeah, it was cool seeing his like reaction. Obviously, there was that big incident where he got knocked out and had a concussion during one of the tests, and seeing how that played out behind the scenes, I guess, was interesting. See the genuine concern and the process that they took to kind of rule him out and keep his well-being fully in check and that kind of thing. So yeah, a really interesting series. Obviously, you like cricket, a must-watch. If you're interested in it at all, I guess it's kind of something you should check out. I also checked out another documentary called Love and Tosha, which is telling the story of the young actor Anton Yelchin's life, probably best known for his role in Star Trek, but did a lot of other stuff prior to that, a lot of smaller roles and that kind of thing. Obviously, he tragically passed away. I think his car like rolled down his driveway and crushed him against his gate. All suddenly, it's like completely out of nowhere. This is such a beautiful love letter to him, and like makes you sad that he's gone, because he's a person who loved film so much, and like they read like letters that he wrote or notes about different films and what he was going to do if he ever directed, and like the love of his craft and that kind of thing. And then a lot of interviews with different people he's worked with. It turns out he had cystic fibrosis since he was a young kid, and he kept it completely secret from the public, co-stars, other people he worked with. There's some other interesting artistic things he does during his time involving photography and that kind of thing. But yeah, really interesting deep dive into a person who was taken too soon. So if you've seen any films, it's definitely worth a watch, I think. Dylan, you wanted to talk about a certain YouTube channel that you've been diving into.
Did you watch any of it?
I've watched a bit of the one that you linked in the Discord.
Oh my god. Well, yeah. I mean,
I will just say right off the bat, I was thrown because of the music. It's not great music, and
What music?
the music in the back of the video is like really weird. Why wouldn't you just have silence? It would sound much better when you're doing these interviews.
I don't even think I know what the music is, and I've watched like 20 of these videos.
No, it might have just been in that one video, but it was like, anyway.
So yeah, it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's what is the official channel called? I should have had it in front of me actually before I get it wrong. Like, is it just called /
I think it's just Anthony Padilla.
Yeah, it is. It's just / Anthony Padilla. So Anthony Padilla is, in case you don't know, one of the co-founders of Smosh, right? Smosh, as in OG YouTube, one of the first YouTube super stories, right? Now, I used to watch Smosh when I was like fucking 13. And then I dropped off and I never stopped. I never watched any of Smosh's stuff when they were brought out and it turned into like this giant company and whatever else. Didn't care for it. Just the content wasn't made for me, so I kind of lost track. Now, I knew a couple of years ago that Anthony left. He left like a year or two before Smosh went under anyway. No fault of their own. They got fucked by the company that brought them, but that's a different story. Anyway, I randomly come across this video the other day. Comes up recommended for whatever reason. They did a month ago called "I Spent a Day with Multiple Personalities." I forget the full name. People that have multiple personalities. So think Split, but without them turning into fucking monsters and like realistic, you know. So I watched that. It's like 28-minute video. I'm like, this is fucking interesting as all shit. Like this. Not only is it interesting subject matter, but I found the way he interviewed. I found it really good because he's interviewing people who obviously a large section of the internet would make fun of easily and call them insane and all these other sorts of things, right? So it's a touchy subject. However, for all of these people he's interviewing, talking to, he's treats them very seriously. He doesn't make fun of them. He's asking good questions. There's a part where one of them actually turns on camera and he doesn't like freak out or like start giggling or, you know, something like that. He's just like, are you cool? Like, we can stop recording if you need to, or, you know, like anything like that. Because she turns into one of her child. I can't remember the official wording, so
it's not a persona.
Fucking it up. Yeah, it's official. It's not, they don't call it personalities. They call it something else. I apologize if we have anyone listening that, but it turns into a child. But yeah, he's really good. So I was like, this is great. I didn't know Anthony Padilla, ex-Smosh person, did these videos. So now I went back and found out he's been doing them for like a year and a half, something like that, something around that. And it all started when like the first one I found was he randomly did one where he smoked weed with old people. And I think that at the time was just supposed to be a meme video. Like it was 420. So he's like, I've got some old people or older people. We're going to smoke weed. And that was a funny video. But I think after he did it, it kind of twisted and turned. He started doing a couple of others. And now that's all he does. Apart from random bits here and there of other stuff. But his whole thing now is he just does interviewing with people. So like I opened up the channel here. So if I read off the last couple, it's like I spent a day with famous beauty gurus. I spent a day with faceless YouTubers. I spent a day with famous cam girls. I spent a day with goths, pansexuals, K-pop's idols, asexuals, autistic people, 911 dispatchers, ex-Mormons, viral meme stars, mole Santas. Like it's all over the place. Emos. And they're all super, super interesting. And I think the last time I found the channel that I just kind of binged their history through was Corridor Crew. And I brought that up on here. So I was like, as soon as I started watching all of these, I was like, well, there's nothing much coming out at the moment. So it's time to suggest a new YouTube channel to everyone. So yeah, I am finding them really, really great. Have full intentions to watch all of them eventually. I will admit that at the moment at my work, it hits like at 7 o'clock or something where the supermarket starts slowing down, and then my work seems to just go dead at the same time. So I'm like, time for Anthony Padilla videos. So I've been making good use of that. But yeah, I think he's, as weird as it is to say that someone like him who's been doing this for the majority of his life at this point and tried so many different things, and of course he started doing skits and whatever else. His most famous one was Smosh that kind of hit off back in the day. The one everyone would have seen was his Pokemon one, and I think that's the one that surely everyone's seen. But it's weird to say that I honestly think these videos is his best content he's ever made. Smosh or not Smosh, ever. Like this is the most I've ever enjoyed anything he's done, and also he just seems like a much more mature person now. Like he's like 30 something now, and it kind of shows, I guess. But they're really, really good.
Yeah, I guess it's similar to Shane Dawson, who's currently arguably doing some of the best work of his career, even though being on the platform for over a decade. So, cool. So let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment of the show. I've got a couple of weird ones on this list.
2 weeks in a row.
So I fell into a show that is very against type because I'm not interested in the subject matter, like as a person. But I've watched the 2 seasons of Car Masters: Rust of Riches, which is a car restoration / custom car show. I was just, it was a cool background thing to watch. Pretty much the premise of the show is they get like a cheap car, they redo it up, and then they trade it for something like something else they can redo up that's going to be worth more. And then they keep trading up until they get to a car that's worth like $170,000 or something. So the show, even though the show has like set episodes and there's like a certain amount of cars or vehicles per an episode, there is like an ongoing story over the season of them trying to get to this massive payday at the end of the
Do
season.
they like reset every season? Like they start again each season?
Yes, kind of. So yeah,
cool. That's cool.
Yeah, so all the guys who work at the garage are fun, all different personalities. One of the guy's a trader who's trying to get wheeling and dealing all the time, trying to rein people in, just looking at the bottom line, that kind of thing. Obviously, you got the weird mechanic dude who's called Caveman, who fits that description. And yeah, I mean, I'm not into cars, but I mean, it's fascinating to see something that looks terrible suddenly become something that looks worth a lot of money. So, I have gotten into those kind of shows before, but again, it's one of those fun, interesting docu-series that is worth checking out, I think.
Those are I really enjoy those shows. I really like cars. I've always been into cars. I watch a lot of on YouTube. There's a channel called Mighty Car Mods, which is an Australian channel that does similar things with cars. And I've always been a fan of that style of documentary series, like American Choppers and stuff like that.
Yes.
So that sounds actually super interesting. So I might.
They did do an episode where a guy wanted like a Hot Wheels car. The one with like the two split with like a thing down the middle.
You're terrible at describing.
Terrible at describing it. It's like one of the most famous Hot Wheels. It's like yes. So and they like make a real life replica, like 1-to-1.
Cool.
Yeah, scale thing. So very cool. Worth checking out. Another series I checked out, releasing later today, Brews Brothers. It follows 2 brothers who brew beer together. Do you want to try
that synopsis again? It's about Brews Brothers. It's about 2 brothers. That's the brothers in the title who brew.
Okay, the description. 2 rival brothers must work together to keep their brewery in business, but shenanigans keep foaming up their company with chaos. Yes. They run a brewery. Making beers. Listen, if you like dick jokes, you like butt jokes, you like vomit, you like that kind of frat humor, this is a series for you. If you're looking for anything more than that, this is not the series for you because that has anything else other than that. I mean, I can't fault the actors. I mean, they do their job perfectly fine, but I mean, none of their content is very interesting if you're not into that kind of humor. It's interesting. One of the brothers very much reminds me of Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, as like this guy who's set in his ways and like does not know how to interact with other people properly. But he's a master brewmeister who knows how to do all the brewing and
a master brewmeister? Is that a term? Brewmeister?
Yeah, maybe.
Like I only know about the holiday cheermeister. I don't know nothing about brewmeisters.
Yeah, there's not a lot of beer information. They just throw terms out and you're supposed to follow along. But yeah, there's a lot of heavy drinking and that kind of thing. So, let me put it this way: if you do enjoy that kind of humor, worth checking out. If you don't like it, don't bother watching because it's unlikely to pick up a second season. So there's no point investing your time in much.
So what you're saying is your review's not highly positive.
It's not going to... Yeah, I haven't written the review yet, but it's not going to be great. It's probably looking... maybe...
Like a 7.5?
I want to say a 4.
A 9?
I was going to...
9. Very funny.
It's funny though because... It's funny though because when this came through as like, oh, do you want to check it out kind of thing, like as they do, I was like, oh, get this one for you, Ash. This seems like your kind of show. And you was like, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And
comedies.
Sound like it was your kind of show at all.
Listen, we got that a few weeks ago. I only got through it like a couple of days ago. I mean, putting it off. Like, damn, deadline's
let me tell you something that I can't say about like breaking embargoes. But the show I've been watching that we got at the same time that you got this, which you was like, really, Dylan, you're getting that? I'm really enjoying that show.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that the show we was like, this seems like a you show, and the show I got where it was like, that doesn't seem like a show either of us should probably be watching. I'm loving it.
That seems very un-Explosion Network content, but okay.
It's great. It's really, really good. Just saying.
So look forward to that. I think it's
I think next time we're recording, I can talk about it. The embargo's like next month. Actually, no, the embargo's next month.
I think it's May, so...
So look forward to it in like a month's time.
Yeah. I mean, there's some good content coming. So yes.
There is. There is some good content.
There is definitely better content coming out than Brews Brothers. Don't worry.
It's so funny because sometimes it's like, I've watched nothing, but I have watched stuff.
We've watched a lot of stuff. We can't. A lot of stuff there that we can't talk about. So moving on to the news segment. Interesting news with Foxtel. Currently, for any sports subscribers, they're currently allowing them to watch all content on the Fox service. Apparently, this is a move after, obviously, All Sport was cancelled. And Foxtel had trouble keeping up with calls from subscribers looking to cancel. Is this a smart move? How do we feel about them letting everyone have access to their content? And what does the cancellation of sport mean that Foxtel is looking less likely to have a future than maybe it did at the beginning of the year?
I think it's an impact that they have to pivot from. I know a lot of people that do purchase, like in at least Victoria, that do purchase like the sports package just so they can watch AFL for the year, just so they can guarantee to be able to watch all the AFL games, because your only other option is Channel 7 and nobody wants to watch it on Channel 7 because it's really poor quality and there's ads everywhere and no. So the fact that people are starting to cancel because of no sports, I think, Foxtel has to do something to try and maintain people, especially when they have, even if people are in quarantine or self-isolation, people have Netflix, they have Amazon, they have Stan, they have all these other options, YouTube even. Foxtel's like, that's the thing, I always have access to Foxtel if I want it. Like, I can just borrow my parents' details and just use that if I need to get into Foxtel. But there's nothing that I want to watch on it that I have to go there to watch. I think everything else is either going to eventually come out on a different platform, or the only thing that makes me want Foxtel or ever feel like watching Foxtel is like HBO stuff, because it's hard to get HBO stuff anywhere else legally.
Dylan, how do you feel? Is Foxtel long for this world?
Oh, I'm fucking smashed angry over this like a sports shit at the moment. I'll tell you what, guys. Fucking can't get my fucking footy on.
You can't get
damn
your footy
shame.
on, Dylan. Jeez.
But no, I mean, look, the people I know, the majority, I'm pretty sure if Foxtel ever boiled down their customer base, it's the majority of it is always just going to be people paying for that entire service so they can get like Foxtel, and then someone else in the house is like, well, since we're getting it, can I pay like $10 to get the entertainment channel or something like that? But I guarantee most households that get it, where they're like, dad's like the one who gets to make the choices about if we get Foxtel or not, he's getting it for the sport, right? So, and I mean, the harsh reality is if you're paying for sport and there's no sport on, yeah, I mean, cancel it. You know, people don't, there's no, I mean, fuck Foxtel anyway.
I always remember my moment of privilege with Foxtel, because when I was growing up in my parents' house, we've just always had Foxtel with just all of the channels available. Like,
you was that kid.
We were that kid. We had that ability. Like, I was lucky enough that my parents were quite in really good positions with their employment. So I remember going to a friend's house and turning to a channel I'd normally watch it, and they'd be like, the fuck's this? You don't have this? Like I remember it blowing my mind at the time and just being so ignorantly privileged. It was,
wow. You go into your friend's kitchen, go into the drawer. Why aren't all these spoons silver?
You know what, Ash? That was the next story I was going to tell, and you ruined it.
I remember in high school, there was like one or two people who had Foxtel in my entire grade. And everyone would be like, "Oh, the fucking rich kids, fucking, they have Foxtel," and that's how it was. If I met a kid from like any other school or anything like that, and they told me they have Foxtel, that was like an automatic, like, "Oh, fucking rich kid." Like that's how
we would not have
pretty
been
much
friends
rule
then.
it.
That's damn.
I was like, "Fucking rich kids, get out of here."
But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, they had a lot of job cuts, a lot of forward like on-screen presenters got cut from the Fox Sports lineup and that kind of thing. So I mean,
think they've been doing interesting things with AFL at the moment. They are recasting old games, but current commentators and current players are commentating over them, which I think is an interesting thing they're doing. Which is something. Well,
they need to put content out there because it's 24 hours, so they have to put something out. And then, I mean, the last few weeks we've seen a lot of, at least on Twitter, a lot of tweet-alongs and that kind of things to different past matches and that kind of thing. In particular, I saw the Australia versus Uruguay game where they won to get into the World Cup. That was a big thing that kind of was on Twitter for people who follow those kind of people who would mention that kind of thing. But I mean, I think if sport doesn't come back soon, Foxtel might be in trouble, just because the competition and
it's okay. The UFC have got the answers for it. It's fine.
I guess
the UFC have got the answers, and it's the most
fucking dead or alive.
Privileged. I'm just buying an island, and we're actually making Dead or Alive / Tekken in real life. It's fine.
I think with the sport thing, I don't think sport's not going to come back for quite some time. So that's just something everyone has to deal with. ESPN in America is having to deal with the same problem, and all these networks are doing the exact same or variations of the same thing, which is the new commentary for old matches or like top 10 this lists or whatever. And I find it hilarious because it just means all of these network TV channels are turning into YouTube. They're literally all doing YouTuber variations of content. And I've even seen like the channel E in America, they're doing the same sort of thing. They're doing like, top 10 this. Let's talk about these classic movies, and they're having some of their presenters at home talk about why Blues Brothers is amazing or whatever else. I'm like, it's YouTube.
They've like E's just turning into like Watch Mojo or something like that. Like just,
pretty much.
Yeah. That's what all everyone with their terrible, crappy webcams from home as well.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's the best part. They're all having to do YouTuber / content creator content, however you want to word it. and they're all doing it with worse mics and cameras and setups than all of us out here that have been doing it for a while. I love it. It makes me laugh.
Yep. So in spite of the ongoing pandemic, a new streaming service is launched as of recording. Quibi, venture that's been in the works since 2018, headed by Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was previously head of DreamWorks Studios, DreamWorks Animation, and also Meg Whitman, who was a big person in Silicon Valley. I think she was a co-founder of eBay from memory. But they have been working on this streaming service for a while. It's going to be a lot of 10-minute or less episodes of things. The big tech thing is they've got this turnstile thing. Oh, the major key point is it's going to be mobile devices only. You won't be able to watch anything.
The picture that they use for this article is somebody clearly watching a TV.
Yes.
Like it's Anna Kendrick clearly watching a TV. I'm like, that doesn't line up.
No, it doesn't line up because you can only watch it on streaming. You can only watch it on mobile device, but they also use this technology called turnstile. So if you're holding your phone vertically, it's a vertical video. But if you switch it on the side, it switches to landscape.
Oh, wow.
Which
that sounds like it's going to be just as big as the famous Kinect for Xbox.
I mean, it works. I've only dabbled in a couple of different things. It pretty much for anything dramatized. It's the vertical video is a zoom in as close as possible to the person who's talking, and then the landscape shot is the proper shot. You know what I mean?
Why would anybody watch it vertically unless the show was shot to be vertically viewed?
Because it's your phone.
Fucking hell. Cut that out. Put that on a t-shirt.
So somebody at Quibi's like, boys, get the presses on the phone right now. We just got our latest endorsement.
Because it's a phone. Duh.
I mean, yeah. Don't you watch everything vertically? Instagram stories, it's a big thing, so we don't want to watch them side. We just want to watch everything vertically. They've thrown a lot of money at this project. Rumors are they've raised as much as $1.75 billion to fund this project, make content, and they've got a lot of names attached. Big name people will get into some of the programming in a second, but is this a service that the idea behind the service is this is not going to compete with Netflix and that kind of stuff. It's going to be, hey, I've got 10 minutes to spare. I'll just quickly watch something on Quibi.
It sounds like it's trying to compete with YouTube.
I guess, kind of, yeah. A more premium YouTube. It is $4.99 US a month for a ad version and $7.99 a month for a ad-free version.
You're gonna be made to pay to have what the?
There is currently a 90-day free trial, which is smart during this pandemic period. But is this a service that you could see using?
During the pandemic period, what do you mean? Actually, everybody sat at home in front of their giant TVs, and they're gonna choose to watch it on their phone.
You've got to go to the bathroom at some point.
Yeah, I'm going to watch YouTube that I do pay for it, but that if I wanted to, I didn't have to pay for. Oh, that's righto.
But yes.
This sounds terrible.
So I'm assuming you think this is not a service that you'll be using.
No, it sounds like somebody's trying to sell me a boat with a hole in the bottom of it. Clearly engineered badly and is going to sink no matter what.
So I'm doing a live reacts right now. I just signed up for my free trial because I honestly didn't think it was out until later in the week, but there you go. So for people who don't understand this whole turning on the side thing, it literally just adjusts everything. So it's not like it just makes the video squeeze and fit. Like I was just watching something with a lot of title cards on the screen. So when you turn your phone from landscape to portrait, it adjusts and the titles are then fixed. So it's not just turning off the lock screen and having it turn sideways as you do in YouTube. It's so far
it fills up the whole screen. It's not.
Yeah, so there is like some technology to this, although straight away I will say that I don't think it's mind-bending next level technology. So the couple shows on here, they do have stars, and
we'll get into that in a second.
Chance the Rapper?
Yeah. Other than that, the other thing I was going to say, in general, how like obviously I'm on this now, so I'll check out some more of this stuff. Maybe not to be making shit up on the spot, but maybe you and I should do a mini review article on this or some shit. But
we'll see.
The 10-minute content as an idea, and then having people pay for it, I think this thing's destined to fail, more or less, because as Ciaran was saying, I think that they're not trying to fight Netflix, obviously. They are trying to fight YouTube. However, I think they're putting themselves so much into a hole by making some weird choices, especially like you can't put it on TV and all this stuff. Like, why? Why do that? You're trying to make yourself so niche that you'll literally fuck yourselves by doing that. So, like, what if I want to watch these 10-minute videos? Because most of the time I watch YouTube videos, and most of the stuff I watch is like 10 minutes or less, like most people. If I'm sitting in my fucking room and I started watching it on my phone while I was in the kitchen or something, and I walk into my room with my food I just made, I cast it to my TV and I continue watching it on my TV. So you're telling me if I'm watching one of these in the same scenario, I just have to keep watching on my phone? Well, that's fucking stupid. You know, like, or maybe I can cast it to my phone if I do screen mirroring through Apple TV or something. I guess would technically maybe work and get you around that sort of thing. But that just seems weird. Also, the fact that they're going to make you pay, it just popped up then. So I signed up for the 90-day free trial. 90 days is a long free trial. I'll give them that. That is good. However, $13 a month for the content currently, it's like for Australian, it fucking better be the best 10-minute shit I've ever watched in my life.
13 minutes. Is that $13 for the ad-free version, or is that $13 for the ad version?
I would assume it's the proper one, or like it would be really weird if it signed you up. I don't know if I can look here at different account settings on the while we're on the go. Okay, so subscription. It says ad-free, $13 a month, ad-free subscription, but that's still quite. I mean,
that's a lot. Considering Disney Plus came out at what, like $9 a month?
Yep. Less if you bought.
And they're obviously trying to fight YouTube with this, but it's just like a lot of people's YouTube content they watch. Like, for example, the Corridor Crew stuff that all of us watch. All of that's roughly 10 minutes. Say the stuntman or the graphics artist react stuff and whatever else, that's like 10-minute-ish. You know how much I pay to watch that? Nothing.
Sorry, I don't think the mic picked that up.
Sorry. I pay nothing. It's free. Look, if all of these shows are amazing, let's boil it down. If all of the shows that are on here are fucking 10 out of 10 each or 9 out of 10 each, like they're really amazing 10-minute shows, I still think even then, how niche this is for what marketed people is just going to lead it to fail no matter how good the content is. And I'll eat my words if I'm wrong. I will eat my words, but that's just how I feel now.
With it being compared to YouTube, it's like, well, YouTube, you have quality videos that are going to match the quality, if not be better than the quality of those videos. Even if those are highly produced and directed and everything, there's still YouTube channels out there that bring out some really impressive stuff now, because YouTube is a really well-established and set-up platform that people are very well-versed at using. It's it just seems stupid to put yourself in a place that you're going up against that. It's in the same place as I think it's stupid with like Microsoft putting Mixer up against Twitch, where I'm like, I don't think that's a good idea. Like,
it would have to get, like, I'm trying to think how your life resolves around this as a platform, right? So, I'm looking at, I know we'll go for all the shows here in a minute, but like, for example, there's one here called Survive, right? It looks like some teen drama. It says teen drama, episode 1, right? It's 8 minutes, that first episode at least. So if I really like this show, what's my like weekly watch schedule for this show? Is it then I literally have to get into bed and I'm like, well, it's time to watch my one episode of my Quibi show, because when the fuck else am I going to watch it? Or like that's the only time where it's like, okay, well, I'll watch it now because my phone's here before I go to sleep or something. I can't put it on my fucking TV in the lounge earlier in the day and watch it. They're probably filming all this on fucking 4K cameras anyway, and they're like, you know what? How about you watch it on your dick small fucking camera? And not only watch it on your dick small camera, but watch it in the worst possible way to watch anything in the history of humanity, which is portrait view. And let's encourage people to film shit that way, and then they upload it to Twitter, and I go, you are fucking dumb. If you do not turn your phone sideways and click record, I'm going to fucking smash your phone and break it. It gives me the shits. Drives me insane. These fucking people filming like this. I'm like, not everything's Snapchat, you fucking fucks.
No, it's Instagram TV. All right, so let's go through some the content that's going to be on the service, and then you can tell me if you're interested or not interested, and then at the end we'll come to a definitive conclusion on this.
Can I just have one asterisk real quick before we get into that? How the fuck did I only just hear about this a week ago or a day ago?
I don't know, because people have been talking.
Is it just because of all the COVID-19 shit and I've just like lost this amongst the news cycle somehow or whatever else?
The biggest...
I mean, it just launched like literally probably this morning Australian time, so...
Yeah, but I consider myself a savvy dude who's usually reading all the news to keep up with stuff.
I mean, to be fair, if you've been following Arcade Couch, you've been invested in two massive... JRPGs that have taken hundreds of hours of your life. So.
But even then, you would think that if this was such a positive in the news at the moment, people would be using this as a positive in news articles. Because to go against the tide of everything being cancelled and delayed because of COVID-19, they have a story about something actually coming out and something actually being done in the world of entertainment. I
guess it's because it's new, and I think... it's hard for new things to come. I think break through. It is surprising because Katzenberg is like a big, massive player in the industry. So for him, you would think he would get a bit more of a splash, but I think it's like a tentative. People are very concerned looking at it. There are big names involved, so I mean,
it could also be a case of us living in Australia.
That could be a thing too.
Yeah, that could just be a relative factor in it.
All right. So all these programs are kind of split into three different forms. There's movies in chapters, short unscripted series and documentaries, and dailies essentials.
Excuse me. Hold the fuck on. Are you telling me there's movies being made for this thing where the idea is to watch it in fucking segments on your fucking phone?
I mean, some of these
is that no, answer the question, Ash. Is that really what they're making?
It's like whoever's invented this has got to the DVD. I've got a DVD, got to the chapter select screen, and I'm like, you know what? We should make a platform based on this. This is the best way to watch movies.
I like to think it's more like a book, like you're, like, you know, chapter to chapter, and you're like, oh, I've had enough for now. I'll put my bookmark here, and you can go back later.
This fucking Quibi shit. I'm going to throw it through my fucking window.
Do you know what?
Right?
I don't think that's a good idea because it's attached to your phone.
Ash, what is the process? Say if you're watching a movie on Netflix and you get through and you're like, man, I'm good here. I need to go away and do something. What is the process that you have to go through to stop it, save where you are, and move on?
Don't have to do anything. It just does it.
Because you press pause and you walk away. And if you open up on any other, Netflix goes, hey, you were watching it and you got to here earlier. Do you want to keep going? You're like, yeah, cool. Thanks, bro.
Yep. All right. So once we're past that point, which is a bit perfectly fair critique of this idea. All right. The first one is called Most Dangerous Game. Liam Hemsworth stars as Dodge Maynard, a terminally ill man desperate to care for his pregnant wife, enough so that he joins a lucrative venture which turns out to be a deadly ruse, pitting him as the prey in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Christoph Waltz will also star with Miles Sellers and Nick Santora.
This has some, like, actual actors. This is, okay, sure.
Interested?
No. Well, no. Still no.
Dylan?
No.
Oh, this is going to be great. Next is called When the Streetlights Go On. This project has a long, winding road to the screen. When written as a film, the script ranks second on the 2011 blacklist, later being reworked and produced as a pilot for Hulu, who passed. The pilot was shopped around, even screened at the Sundance Film Festival, was never picked up. Now it finally comes to Quibi. When a beautiful young girl is killed, her sister and high school peers struggle to retain a sense of normalcy as their suburban community reels and the murder investigation proceeds. The cast includes It's Chosen Jacobs, Sophie Thatcher, and Sam Strike from Chernobyl, along with Queen Latifah, Tony Hale, and Mark Duplass.
How is that a selling point? Well, nowhere else wanted it, so we picked it up.
I mean,
and we cut it into 1,000 pieces.
This isn't from the Quibi website, obviously. This is an editorial, but apparently this is the best thing on the service. So, from what I've seen from a couple of sources. So,
what's it called again?
It's called When the Street Lights Go On.
I don't even see it on the front page here, so it must be great.
It must be good because it's not featured. That makes sense. Interested?
No.
No? Alright. Next up is the before-mentioned Survive. Sophie Turner is following up a little show called Game of Thrones with this thriller, which also stars Corey Hawkins from Straight Outta Compton. The show tells the story of two survivors of a plane crash on a remote mountain who must work together as they combat the elements and their personal demons to make it back to civilization. Yep. It's
okay.
I mean, interesting.
Sure, yeah, I guess.
This was shot on some like telephonic, expensive ass fucking lens, and I'm watching it, and I have to watch it on my phone. Look, this whole app is pissing me off.
Oh man, it's great because this list is long. We're gonna have a lot.
I'm just flicking through this episode. I'm like, I wish you'd never brought that up. I wish I never knew this existed. Personally, that's where I'm at.
Next up, we have Flipped. A chronically underemployed couple, played by Will Forte and Caitlin Olsen, strive to become the TV's next great home renovation show duo in this comedy series produced by Funny or Die. Unfortunately, their plans are waylaid somewhat when members of a drug cartel, which feature Andy Garcia, Eva Longoria, and Broad City's Autoro Castro, kidnap the pair and force them to renovate their massive houses.
Yeah, okay. Eva Longoria, hey, she's still kicking. Okay, I just thought she lived.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'll tell you when you get to the only show I'm interested in.
Okay. We have Agua Donkeys.
Number one I'm going to watch. I'll tell you, there's one show here. The first one I know I'm going to watch. I'll point it out when you get to it.
All right.
I've locked in my decision.
Agua Donkeys, which is produced by Funny or Die, that follows two employees at a pool cleaning company on the quest for the perfect tan, the perfect vibe, and the perfect mix of bromine and chlorine for pool cleaning. The short film on which it is based has been called The Californian Napoleon Dynamite.
The Californian Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Moving on. Next one's called The Stranger, written and directed by Venus Sud, who worked on The Killing. A mysterious Hollywood Hills passenger, played by Dane DeHaan, joins a young rideshare driver, played by Micah Monroe, in her car. After 12 hours, the two venture into the seedy underbelly of Los Angeles in a spine-chilling game of predator and prey. Yep. The snickering is beautiful. Next up, we've got #Free Ray Sean. From executive producer Antoine Fuqua comes the show that claims that Katzenberg has pitched as a modern twist on the 70s classic Dog Day Afternoon. Stephen James from Homecoming stars as Rashawn, an Iraq war veteran who takes shelter in their apartment building after a botched drug deal. Amid a police standoff and growing media frenzy, a sympathetic cop, played by Lawrence Fishburne, tries to convince him to surrender.
Wait, by Lawrence... I'm actually... You know what? No, I'm not interested in that.
I mean, next up we've got a series. Well, I'm putting my money on. Is this the one? I think this is the one. It's called 50 States of Fright, helmed by Spider-Man and Evil Dead director Sam Raimi. It's a horror anthology which draws inspiration from the folklore of each U.S. state. Rachel Brosnahan, Christina Ricci, Ming-Na Wen, and more on board to star across several episodes.
That is not the one, but it sounds interesting.
Yeah, okay.
It does actually sound interesting. I'll give it that.
Next up is Dummy, starring Anna Kendrick and Donald Logue.
What the fuck did you...
The show is called Dummy.
Oh, okay.
And this comedy follows the story of an aspiring writer and her boyfriend's sex doll. Originally written as a TV pilot, the project was developed into a film script to be diced up into Quibi's 10-minute or less bites.
The fuck?
That's coming out April 20th. So it's not out now, but...
That's right. Okay.
You know how people often are like, oh man, they're just going to like string out this show on Netflix and make more episodes to keep us subscribed, or, you know, people have these theories for stuff, or like, oh, they split up the seasons of these shows on Foxtel to keep us subscribed. Is this whole model of this fucking app just to keep people subscribed to watch their fucking 50 cuts of pizza? For
this scripted content, I think so.
Is 50 Shades of Grey on this thing? Because it fucking
Not
fits.
yet. Not yet. All right, next up we've got Chrissy's Court. No claim is too small. Oh, this is the one? Okay. No claim is too small for Chrissy's Court. Chrissy Teigen will preside over real-life small claims cases, Judge Judy style, with final and legally binding verdicts. Meanwhile, her mum-turned-bailiff, Pepper Ty, maintains order in the courtroom. We have no objections.
Fuck yes. I'm watching this one. Who doesn't love Chrissy?
I mean, yep, it's interesting. Next up, we've got Thanks a Million. Jennifer Lopez, Kristen Bell, and Tracy Morgan and more will headline episodes of the series in which a celebrity in question donates $100,000 to an unsuspecting individual. That person gives $50,000 to someone else, who gives $25,000 to someone else, and so on down the line. Sadly, it looks like giant checks are not involved.
Imagine that, giving somebody $100,000 but being like, oh, but you have to give 50 of this away. Oh, and you have to give 25 of this away.
Hey, you have to give half of what I give you away to somebody else. I mean, yeah.
I guess. Sure.
Next up, we've got a relaunch of a beloved series. Punk'd is back. And it's hosted by Chance the Rapper.
Wait. Have they just gone to like different, like they've gone to old MTV and they're like, man, go to old MTV, grab Punk'd. I'm waiting for like Pimp My Ride to turn up on this show. They've gone over and they're like, we need a version of Judge Judy because people love that shit. Have they just like found like the trash stuff people watch on YouTube and been like, we're just going to make a platform out of it? And then also some like good quality stuff that we
just get the biggest celebrities we can. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, makes sense.
So yeah, if you love Punk'd, it's back. Next up, love this one.
I was gonna say by the way, first episode of Punk'd, they're like, Meg the Stallion has no idea that things are about to get pretty hairy while she waits in her car for her lost dog. I just want to point out, maybe show my age. Who the fuck is Meg the Stallion?
Oh man, old man.
At least when I watched the original Punk'd, I knew who the fuck the people are. Who the fuck are? If I don't know who the celebrities are, it's not going to be funny. Adam Devine, I know that guy. All right, Lil Nas X is it episode 4. Man, I know Country Bumpkin Road. Yeah, fuck you. Let's go.
Okay.
Get hot.
Next up, Murder House Flip. Perhaps best described as CSI meets HGTV, Murder House Flip features a team of forensic specialists, spiritual healers, and a high-end renovation experts taking on houses where scandalous or tragic events took place, including but not limited to murders, and turning them from morbid to marvelous.
Now they've gone and they've seen their remotes got stuck, right, while they're flipping through channels to see what they're stealing. and the remote has been stuck flicking between two channels at the same time. One of them has either like CSI or Law and Order, and the other one has some kind of home renovation show on it, and they're just like, bam, together, let's do it.
Can you read the first sentence of that description again?
Murder House Flip features a team of forensic specialists, spiritual healers, and high-end renovation experts taking on houses where scandalous or tragic events took place, including but not limited to murders, and turning them from morbid to marvelous.
From morbid?
Yep, so what they're doing is they're taking crime scenes and renovating the place and then selling the houses.
And then the person that's buying it, they're like, "Hey, somebody was murdered here, but it's okay. We got some like spiritual healers in here."
This is the official on the app description of the first episode. And serial killer Dorothy Purnett poisoned 7 people in a boarding house and buried them in the backyard. Designers Joelle and Mikkel visit the current owners to replace the home's negative energy with a new makeover. This is a comedy. We're living in hell. Like, coronavirus is killing us all. We don't deserve to live anymore. That is a real show. That's a South Park sketch. She murdered 7 people, but now the designers are here to make everything okay and stop those negative energies eating up the house's vibe. Fuck off.
So like, okay, we've now fixed your house and brought in the spiritual healers. Do you remember the fact that 7 people were buried in your backyard? No, I love the new pool you just put in there.
Here's the next one. William Bradford shot and killed his wife in their living room. Years later, John and Karina bought the house, but were never told of the tragedy. They're now desperate for a positive change.
How can you change that? But we've done a little bit, but just so somebody was still murdered here. But you don't have to worry.
Ciaran, you need to watch and find out.
We changed the carpet.
We changed the carpet.
I can just imagine, hey, do you feel better about living here? Yeah, I guess.
You know the answer for most people
those are really sweet curtains.
Yeah, but if anyone feels uncomfortable living in a house where a murder took place, the answer always is going to be like, no, like it still happened here. It still happened in this room. So my feeling is no, I still don't like it. No.
There'll be, and the people who do act like they're happy with the change, it's going to be like somebody on a quiz show that got like the second place dud prize, but they're still pretending to be
still
happy
smiling and they're like,
it's
and then the camera's off, they're like, I fucking hate you.
It's going to be the reality TV show equivalent of that kid getting an avocado for Christmas. Like, just that kind of, like, thanks, but it's still haunted with dead people.
Okay, next up, we've got SKRRT with Offset, a series with celebrities join Migos member and car aficionado Offset to discuss their cars and the stories behind them and take part in a unique one-on-one auto experience.
It basically is their version of Hit My Ride.
It's 100%. It's got a form of rapper as its host. It totally is.
Yes, definitely check out SKRRT.
Skirt! It's skirt! Don't you know, Ash? Come on, keep up. It's skirt!
That was a joke.
Skirt! That's how rappers rap now. I'm sitting in the back of the skirt! Skirt! That's a made a rap song.
Okay, next up is The Source. Viral sensation dance duo AO and TO are hosting their traveling dance competition series, which will follow the brothers from city to city as they spotlight each location's dance culture and attempt to track down the hottest talent. Usher is also involved as executive producer and judge.
Viral dance sensations AO and TO?
Yep.
Like,
it might be Teo.
What dance did they do?
The 2017 hit single Rolex.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Maybe it's a bigger thing in America.
That song for sure.
Definitely. I'm down with that. I recently recreated it for my TikTok account.
Okay. Next up, we have a series called And Music. This documentary series spotlights the behind-the-scenes collaborators who helped the biggest stars in music, including Ariana Grande, Ozzy Osbourne, and YG, create their live performances.
YG?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
I'm,
however that's pronounced.
This platform's making me feel old.
Maybe you're just too young to know who YG is.
Maybe that's it.
I know who YG is.
Is Ciaran old?
Rapper. No, he does one of the... I'm pretty sure he's on one of the songs from Fast and Furious 8, I think. So you should know him. Come on.
Jeez.
Where's Post Malone's show on this fucking app?
We'll see. I haven't read the entire list. Next up, we've got Gone Mental with Lior. Celebrity mentalist Lior Sucard will read the minds of famous guests, including Ben Stiller, James Corden, Zooey Deschanel, running each guest through a series of mind-blowing mental stunts.
As each one of leaving the establishment they're eating at or talking with, do they just give in a fat sack of money?
Maybe.
They're just hidden it off camera.
Could be. Next up, we've got Nikki Fresh, but the S is a $sign.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nicole Richie stars in this series, where the premise is that she is following her titular alter ego as she strives to bring her own socially conscious educational brand of rap known as Parent Trap to the world. So it's Nicole Richie doing the Joaquin Phoenix movie. What was it called? I Was Never Really Here.
Yeah, I was never really here.
It's never really here. Yeah. So that'll be interesting. Next up, we've got Singled Out. Kiki Palmer and Joel Kim Booster will host a new edition of MTV's Singled Out, helping singles of all genders and sexual preferences select one person from a diverse pool for a date. The show will bring online dating to life, linking the main data to the group of singles through social media.
This is the next coming of MTV, right? This is getting worse and worse by the minute.
This next one's a good one. Game show. Matt Rogers and comedian Dave Mazzoni will host this comedic competition series in which two straight contestants are paired with a celebrity life partner as they go head-to-head in various challenges to earn the title of Queen of the Straights. Guests will include Ilana Glazer, Darcy Carden, and Rachel Bloom.
How the fuck is that a show?
Thanks, I hate it.
That sounds garbage. That's actually disgusting.
Yep. Not great. This is an interesting one. It's called Dishmantled. This unique cooking series, hosted by Titus Burgess, will begin each episode by blasting a food dish into two blindfolded chefs' faces with a cannon.
This whole app is just literally South Park skits.
The chefs will then attempt to identify the dish and race to recreate it, with the prize going to whoever comes closest.
This week on MTV, two world-renowned chefs airblast cannon themselves with food.
Yeah.
I mean... yeah, it's yeah. The picture that they've included in this article has Anthony from Queer Eye and Dan Levy from Schitt's Creek, shocked at the blast of them been getting shot in the face with food. I mean, it could be interesting. We'll see. Next up, we've got You Ain't Got These, a series from Lena Waithe, exploring social issues through the lens of sneaker culture. With guests including Billie Jean King, Hassan Minaj, and Jamel Hill. You right, Kieran?
I may have just watched some chefs get blasted with food. I'm sorry. They put them in a fucking... It's like some Nickelodeon shit. They put him in a thing, and they got got like the full hazmat suits on and goggles, so they only just have their mouths, and then they literally just blast it. They don't like throw the cake at their face. It's like it's fucking already in pieces when it comes out. They just blast. And like, fucking make it. You've got half an hour. It is literally Nickelodeon slime. Slimed, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think like
Tastier,
the
though.
writers' room for it was just like, whoa, guys, what? You know, the worst part of watching like chef shows is how long it takes the chefs to eat the food. What if we like air cannon blast it straight into their mouths?
They don't have to walk around blindfolded and like pull random bits of food off the walls and eat it. And these people are like,
Yep. So I think we've got a winner. Next up, we've got Fierce Queens, in which Reese Witherspoon will narrate and present this BBC-produced nature documentary series that will focus on the animal kingdom's rebel matriarchs, powerful leaders, and dangerous lovers.
that was the most normal thing on this whole fucking
That
app.
is the most normal
That
thing.
was extremely normal. Yep.
Next up, we have Prodigy, in which soccer star Megan Rapinoe will host this docuseries profiling 8 extraordinary athletes, all 21 years or younger, who have achieved unprecedented athletic feats and said to become the next superstars in their respective sports. Yeah, that seems like a perfectly rational series. Next up is called Run This City from executive producer Mark Wahlberg. Comes this documentary which follows Jacil Correa II, former mayor of Fall River, Massachusetts, and the town's youngest ever elected, who faced various fraud and extortion charges over his course of his term. When the FBI indicted him, Correa vows to fight the charges and clear his name. Yeah, could be interesting.
No.
American politics. Next up, we have Shape of Pasta. Chef Ian Funk, mastermind behind Los Angeles' Felix Trattoria, and a perpetual student of the handmade pasta, scours Italy for the supreme pasta masters in this 8-episode series. He'll seek out rare and unique pasta shapes and techniques in an effort to keep these traditions alive.
The interesting thing here is that, like, when exploring these things, they have 10 minutes to explore it, and that's all they can give it, is this, like, 8 to 10 minutes.
I mean,
it just
if it's
doesn't seem...
focused...
It's focused, but,
It's
like, does
a
it
pasta
really...
shape.
I don't know.
Why don't you respect pasta more, Ash? Fuck's sake.
Yeah,
I
I was gonna
do.
say,
I
Ash.
respect it by putting it in my stomach.
Wow.
Next up, we've got
Puts the lotion on
Nightgowns.
its skin. Jesus Christ.
Nightgowns. Sasha Velour's acclaimed live drag review is coming to Quibi, with the RuPaul Drag Race champion executive producing an 8-part miniseries based on her stage act. Each episode will focus on one performer as they prep for the individual showcases. Part behind-the-scenes documentary, part lip-sync spectacular.
Right. Okay.
Cool. Next up, we've got Memory Hole. Dive back into all the cringeworthy pop culture events you forgot, or maybe you never knew took place in the first place. With Memory Hole, first season focuses on Canada, with Canadian export Will Arnett hosting. Guests include Jason Bateman, Patton Oswalt, and Game of Thrones John Bradley.
Right.
I saw a negative tweet about this because apparently they've pretty much ripped off something else, like a YouTube thing with the premise.
Oh,
I'm pretty
really?
sure this whole fucking thing is just
Like,
ripping
I
off
mean,
YouTube,
kind
isn't
of.
it?
It is a little bit. So
I haven't really heard of anything too original from everything you've read so far. It just feels like they've picked and
That's
choose
true.
what people watch on Facebook videos and YouTube.
that's true. Next up, we've got I Promise. In 2018, LeBron James opened the I Promise School in his hometown of Akron, Ohio, a unique public school for at-risk kids that aims to help close Akron's achievement gap. Help close Akron's achievement gap. Now this docuseries follows a year in the life of 6 third graders at the school as they reset expectations of their futures. Yeah, it could be a nice, heartwarming series.
Could it though? It depends when it was filmed. If it was filmed before LeBron's death or after LeBron's death, it could be...
Jeez. Terrible.
Well, no. But if LeBron is involved in the documentary itself, it could be something that is very cathartic.
I hope you're joking about the fact that It's LeBron James, not Kobe Bryant.
Oh, LeBron! Oh my god, I wasn't! That's so dumb of me! Oh my god, put me on that show about cringeworthy moments! Oh, my brain!
Even I was like, that's not right, is it?
As soon as you said it, I'm like, what's wrong with me bringing this up? Is there something wrong? Is there something that I shouldn't be doing here? No, it's just me being an idiot.
Yep.
Oh, why?
So yeah, LeBron James is perfectly
Kobe.
fine, perfectly alive, apparently.
Some poor person is listening to this like, wait, what happened to LeBron? We can't lose Kobe and LeBron in the same year.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. Next up, we've got Elba versus Block. Is there anything Idris Elba can't do? After DJing at Coachella, the actor ventures into the realm of stunt driving. With this 8-episode series, Elba will compete with professional rally driver Ken Block in such car-based challenges as the Wall of Death, the car tightrope, and the flaming obstacle course.
I'm watching this one.
So it's pretty much Hobbs and Shaw.
I watch all of Ken Block's videos. So
he was the one from Hobbs and Shaw. Cool. I got it right. Good.
Okay, in case anyone doesn't know, Ken Block usually uploads sporadically every couple months these really fucking sick videos where they'll lock off, like they locked off a section of San Francisco once, and for example, and basically gave him a track to go around and cut stick on these cars, and they like filmed really well and cut together with music and whatever else. So I'll watch that, sure.
Cool. Next up, Fight Like a Girl. WWE comes to Quibi with this unscripted series, which sees pro wrestlers pairing with young women to help them overcome personal issues and become stronger, tougher, and healthier versions of themselves.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. Let's roll with Tony Greenhand. Each episode of this series sees world-renowned cannabis artist Tony Greenhand connecting with a different celebrity weed enthusiast, including Hannibal Buress, Bella Thorne, and more, to create a unique work of joint artwork for them, then promptly smoke it with them.
I'm watching this.
The picture they've used is of, I guess, small pizza slices, but made in a way that you can smoke from them. I don't understand. This is interesting.
You want to give it a go?
Yeah, give me a go. Next one's called Iron Sharpens Irons, in which Carolina Panthers quarterback Cam Newton is an EP. It pairs star athletes from different sports, including Newton, Kerry, Walsh Jennings, Daytona Wilder, and more, to discuss training, fitness, and what it takes to be at the top of your game. Sounds like a basic story, sports thing. Next up, we've got Cup of Joe. Joe Jonas is joining his wife Sophie Turner on Quibi with this 8-part travelogue. Cup of Joe follows Jonas and his brother's Happiness Begins tour as he explores each city on the tour with the help of such celebrity guests as Matthew McConaughey, Tina Fey, and Jack Black.
Wow. Okay, that's an interesting list of special guests. Okay, sure.
Yep. Next up, we got a series called Flawed. YouTube star Liza Koshy hosts this bizarre spin on competitive dance shows in which two teams attempt to perform rehearsed routines on a floor that lifts, tilts, drops, shakes, and spins in time to the music. As if that weren't enough, they'll also be plagued by surprise obstacles.
Liza Koshy, no. Why, Liza? Why?
Yep. And then there's a bunch of Daily Essentials, which are pretty much very small tidbits. There is one from a motivational speaker. There's one doing current events. There's last night's late night, which is just reviewing the previous night's late night TV shows. There's fashion shows, sexology shows. 60 Minutes in 6, which is 60 minutes, but they do one story in 6 minutes.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So it's 60 minutes style story, but it's 6 minutes.
Right, okay.
There's also going to be NBC News Around the World by BBC News. Telemundo is doing a news thing There's going to be the Weather Channel thing. There's going to be like a bunch of little news things you can watch, I guess. There's also going to be trailers by Fandango. Speedrun by Polygon is going to be on there, which is like a gaming show in which they do news analysis, interviews and previews and that kind of thing. So all the like pop culture, like tidbit kind of stuff. Yeah, so that's everything sort of currently coming or currently on the app. How do you feel about it now after discussing?
You don't need to ask me. Y'all know.
It's hot garbage, man. It's rage and hot garbage. So enjoy it while you've got your 90 days if you feel like signing up, and then cancel that shit before you get charged. I
mean, they've got some interesting stuff still in the works as well. I'm just going to roll through this list and then mention stuff as it comes to me. Because freaking hell. Let's have a look. They got Frat Boy Genius, which is going to be based on the screenplay. The series will tell the tale of Snapchat's rise through a social network-esque story. So that could be interesting. They're doing a modern retelling of The Fugitive, in which Prison Break's Nick Santora, no, he's writing, but Kiefer Sutherland will be hot on the tail of Mike Farrow, played by Logan's Boyd Holbrook. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Guillermo del Toro has currently got a project that's described as a modern zombie story.
Right. Okay. Compared to all the other modern zombie stories, it'll be unique.
Yep.
Refreshing.
There's going to be a Code 8 spin-off if you're a fan of Code 8, the series, the thing done by Stephen Amell and Robbie Amell. That was a thing. What else we got here? They're working on a remake of Varsity Blues. Like the film, the show will follow a high school football team in their struggles with a hostile coach. That's a thing.
What drama can you fit into 8 minutes at a time?
Oh, that's full on. There's going to be lots of cliffhangers, I bet.
They're also doing a remake of How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Wow.
Download this app onto his fucking phone.
Say it's your preferred streaming service over YouTube.
There is a series called Nice One, hosted by Ron Funches, in which comedians will attempt to out-compliment each other. Which is a thing I think I've seen on...
Isn't that just the opposite of that other show, that like mic drop show, where they like try and trash talk each other for a period? That's right. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this on like the BBC. It's like a segment on there, but okay. There is a series called Rapper Warrior Ninja. Eric Andre is bringing one of its most memorable segments of his show to Quibi. Hip hop stars will attempt to navigate a perilous obstacle course while freestyling. Typical Andre fare, in other words. There's also going to be a series called Die Hart. In this series, follows Kevin Hart as himself on a quest to land a major role in an action movie. He must train with the world's greatest action stars school, overseen by a lunatic teacher, performed by John Travolta. Yeah. Also, Reno 911 is coming to the series service. If you're a fan of that.
But cut down into 8-minute segments?
Maybe. And then...
Maybe? What do you mean, maybe?
I mean, this is a long list. I'm going to stop at this one, which I think is the most interesting. Spielberg's After Dark. Appointment TV is back, sorta. The beloved filmmaker is writing a 10 to 12 chapter spooky story that can only be viewed after the sun goes down.
Man, these people changing their clocks in Animal Crossing. Now they're changing their clock to watch Steven Spielberg haunted show during the daytime.
Oh, shit. They're bringing Legends of the Hidden Temple to Quibi. Do you guys know what the Legends of the Hidden Temple is?
No.
I think so, right?
It was a kids' game show on Nickelodeon.
It was, the kids' game show where you'd have, you'd play little mini games and that would give you a certain amount of time to get through the temple or something at the end of it. We had to, find, golden monkeys, I think.
There is a lot of stuff currently in the works, so if you want to look that stuff up.
I look forward to watching everything available tonight in half an hour.
Yeah. I mean, jeez. Yeah, so free trial, 90 days. Make sure you mark it down on your calendar when that 90 days is up. But then, till that time, go wild. All right. That went a lot longer than I thought. I'm still going to go in this segment. Of course, we got Ciaran here. Ciaran, you're a big anime aficionado.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say that.
And you know what time of the year it is. It's time for the spring lineup.
The spring stuff. It's going to be good.
Spring stuff. So I've got a list of new shows coming to streaming services. So I'm going to read out the name and description, and you tell me if this is something we should be interested in.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. First up, we've got Tower of God. Tower of God centers a boy called 25th Bam, who has spent most of his life trapped beneath a vast and mysterious tower with his only close friend Rachel to keep him company. When Rachel enters the tower, Bam manages to open the door into it as well and faces challenges at each floor of this tower as he tries to find his closest companion.
I think I've seen this, and the trailer I've seen for this makes this sound a lot better than that description did.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think I'm giving it a try. Yeah.
Yep. Next up, we've got My Life as a Villainess. All Routes Lead to Doom. 8-year-old Katarina Clays is the only daughter of a duke, living her life peacefully and without incident until she hits her head on a rock and then remembers that she is not actually the duke's daughter. She used to be an otaku who died on her way to school after spending the previous night playing Fortune Lover, her favorite Otomi game. After noticing that her current surroundings seem oddly familiar, she is shocked to discover that she has been reincarnated into the world of Fortune Lover as the villainess. The villainess in the game usually winds up dead or exiled, so Katarina decides to use her knowledge of the game and routes to avoid any bad situations. But is it even possible for the villainess to reach a good ending?
Well, I'm sure we'll find out. That's you know what? If it hadn't been for some of the stuff I watched in the ending current season, I probably would have been like, nah, I'm not watching that. But I'll probably watch it.
Yeah. Next up, we've got The Eighth Son. Are you kidding me? Shingo Ichinomoya, a 25-year-old man working at a firm company while thinking of tomorrow's busy working day, go to sleep. However, when he woke up, he found himself in the room unknown to him and realizes that he's inside a 6-year-old's body, taking over his body and mind. He soon learns from the memories of the boy that the boy was born as the youngest child of a poor noble family living in a back county. Having no administrative skill, he can't do anything to manage the vast land his family has. Fortunately, he is blessed with a very rare talent, the talent of magic. Unfortunately, while his talent could bring prosperity to his family, in his situation, it only brought disaster. This is the story of the boy, Wendelin von Bino Baumeister, opening his own path in a harsh world. And yes, there were question marks in the title. That's why I read it that way.
Other than that name making me laugh, I'm not interested. It does not sound too good.
Okay. Next up, we've got Woodpecker Detective Office. It is the end of the Meiji era. The genius poet Ishikawa Takuboku, who's struggling financially, starts a detective business out of his lodging in response to a certain murder case. He calls it the Woodpecker Detective Office. The ghosts of the 12-story tower in Asakusa, the man-eating figure who wanders the streets of snowy nights. Takabuku involves himself in one bizarre case after another in his hometown acquaintance, Kindiachi Kizuki, as his assistant. Other literary men, such as other famous literary men, are also dragged into his exploits as he races around Tokyo at the height of westernization.
Yeah, no, I'm in for that one. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
It does. Another one called Sting Yesterday for Me. Kai Toomey's 18-year-old youth ensemble classic gets its long-awaited animated adaptation, a story of love and humanity following 4 boys and girls trying to live their best lives through hardship and turmoil in a small town on a private rail line just outside of Shinjuku. Minor misunderstandings lead to big complications, and their various feelings become entangled. A story of daily life lived 49% looking back, 51% looking forward.
Wow, you need to change
That's
around
a cool
that percentage,
tagline.
people. but that's it's as we've discovered in animated wonders. I'm not the biggest fan of slice of life stuff, so I'll give that one a pass.
Yep. You should also check out Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders if you want to hear other Japanese names mispronounced.
Very badly.
Yep. Next up, Digimon Adventure. It's the year 2020. The network has become something humans can no longer do without in their daily lives. What humans don't know is on the other side of the network is the digital world, a realm of light and darkness. Nor are they aware of the Digimon who live there. 5th grader Taichi Yagami's mother and little sister Hikari went to Shibuya, and now they're aboard a runaway train. Taichi hurries to Shibuya to save his mother and sister, but the instant he heads towards the station platform, a strange phenomenon befalls the Digi-Destined, and Taichi is taken to the digital world. So this is the new retelling of the original Digimon.
Oh, okay. Because I never got to watch it, but I know there was the series either done or coming up where about it's kind of closing off that. So I don't know if that's been done. But Digimon, when I was a kid, was also my shit. Like, I really enjoyed watching the Digimon series originally. So, yeah, I'm down to watch them all. Watch it again. Yeah.
Watch it again. Then we've got Appari Ranman. Set in the 19th century, follows Sorano Appari and Ishikiri Kasami, 2 Japanese characters that end up lost in America. Without any money in their names, this socially awkward engineer and cowardly samurai enter what's known as the Trans-America Wild Race, which will earn them enough prize money to get back home.
Cool.
Next up, we got Arte. Born into an aristocratic family in Florence, Italy during the 16th century Renaissance era, Arte has dreams of becoming an artist. In an age of social classes, she is willing to cast aside her aristocratic lifestyle and stop at nothing to achieve her dreams. She finds apprenticeship in a painting studio owned by Leo, an artist to a strict, but prioritizes ability over gender. Don't think that's going to be your thing.
No. I'm actually no. It's actually it kind of is. I would find it interesting. I'd probably start and check it out just because I find it extremely interesting when like Japanese anime production studios do something that is set outside of Japan and set in another kind of country's historical period, because I think it's really interesting how they perceive it and how they use it in there. So that's actually something I'd be pretty interesting to watch.
Cool. Next up, we've got Bungo and the Alchemist, Gears of Judgment. The series follows a group of historic writers, all based on real people, who use their special abilities to rescue books that have been cursed by the Taints, an evil force. While its premise is fantastical, the series' core focus will be on its characters, some of whom you may recognize, including Ryunosuke Akutagawa and H.P. Lovecraft.
Okay, it's got some Lovecraft. Cool. Interesting.
Next up, we've got Gal and Dino. Kaida, a Guara, who wakes up one day and remembers that she had let in a dinosaur while drunk the previous night. She just accepts it and keeps living her life. She just now has a dinosaur roomie. The easygoing two just go with the flow, learning how to communicate and live with each other as they hang out together, and sometimes with Kaidi's other friends and acquaintances.
Okay. Once again, I'm in to try it out and see how this goes. Sure.
It's a weird looking dinosaur. I mean, the face, it looks like a Muppet. like a 2D Muppet. It's just eyeballs and like a massive, the flap thing.
A mouth?
Yeah. But
The flap thing.
A flat mouth,
So like Pac-Man.
Yeah, kind of. Next up, Glepina. Kaigaya Suchi is an ordinary high school student in a boring little town, but when a beautiful classmate is caught in a houseware fire, he discovers a mysterious power. He can transform into a monster that appears as a fluffy dog with an oversized revolver and a zipper down his back. He saves the girl's life, sharing his secrets with her, but she's searching for the sister who killed her family, and she doesn't care how degrading it gets. She will use Suichi to accomplish her mission.
Right, okay, sure. Okay, Japan, okay.
Yep. Oh, jeez. Hang on. Next up, we've got a series called Listeners. In a world without music, young Echo was there the day legendary prayer Jimmy Stonefree and his mecha disappeared while fighting a mysterious earless. 10 years later, he meets a young girl with amnesia called Moo, but it's a weird... The symbol is weird. Anyway, who has an input jack on her back. Could she be a prayer like Jimmy? Together, they set off on a journey to unravel her past and save humanity. I would hate to live in a world with no music.
That would suck. That would actually be pretty terrible.
Yep. Next up, we've got the Millionaire Detective Balance Unlimited. Detective Daisuke Kanabe has no problems using his own fortune to solve crimes, even if he assesses human lives based on their financial worth. Compassionate Haru Kaito sees all life as sacred and is sickened by Daisuke's materialistic ways. Can they stop butting heads and overcome their opposing worldviews for the sake of solving the toughest crimes in the precinct?
I believe so, yeah. Definitely. I think, why do we even need to watch the show? We already know the answers. Yeah, he's a millionaire detective. He's all good.
Yeah, that makes sense. We've got one called Kakushi Goto. Kakushi Goto is a weekly manga artist known for ecchi action titles like Balls of Fury and Tights in the Wind, but he's decided that his daughter Himi was born that he would be mortified if she ever found out, so he's always disguised his true occupation to her. To that end, he leaves home in a business suit every day, only to change on the way to the apartment he uses as a studio. Only when Himi turns 18 will she be allowed to learn the truth, but that means there are several close calls as she is growing up.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want to translate that, people who don't know particularly what those words mean?
Honestly, I don't know if I can accurately translate them properly without actually properly sitting down and going through it. So I'm not even going to try. I'm not even going to risk it for the biscuit because I'm gonna ruin it for Dylan. Dylan's yeah.
Well, the other description describes him as a mature manga artist. Mature.
Mature. Yeah, it's Yep. It's probably the mature manga artist that made Beastars would also be involved with this.
Yep. Next up, we've got Sakura Wars, the animation set in 1940s. It's been 10 years since the Great Demons invasion, and the World Luxury Operatic Federation has designed a tournament for all to participate in. In the middle of this, Sakura and her troupe are tasked with both fending off a demon invasion and putting on the shows at the Imperial Theatre.
That's multitasking. Okay,
multitasking.
I'd watch that. Yep.
Sachibado, President. It's time for battle. Based on the popular strategy game, Minato has become the new president of the Quibi company. In order to become a good president and help the company grow, he must lead his party of adventurers through the gate and collect Kirakuri, a type of energy that is extremely valuable and fundamental to the city of Gatopia. However, there are other companies vying for the chance to gather the Kirakuri.
Yeah, okay. Everybody's gathering them stuff, so yeah.
Yep. Then you got Tamayomi, the baseball girls, ready to see Yomi's magic throw. Two girls, now reunited in high school, fulfill their childhood promise to compete together on the same baseball team. Okay,
I need something sporting to fill up my Haikyuu void that has just happened because Haikyuu's finished until July.
Yep.
So
July.
Okay. Yeah, July. It's mid-season at the minute. The second course doesn't come out till July now. So
Side note:
a couple months.
I watched all 3.5 seasons in the 2 weeks since we discussed it last episode.
Well, there's more. Well, if you get on a Crunchyroll,
plus
there's more.
OVAs. Yeah, the two.
No, but there's another season. Like I'm on season 4 at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The first
there's
part
another,
of season
you're
4.
Missing. So
no, I've watched.
So
I'm up to date.
You're up to date.
I'm up to date.
So you enjoyed it that much because it is.
Yes.
It's fucking fantastic. It's so good. It is.
Yes.
People watch Haikyuu. It's fucking great.
Who knew volleyball was interesting? Anyway.
I know, right? I know, Ashley. It is very interesting.
Okay, last one. Wave, listen to me. Minari Koda works at a curry shop and bread restaurant, Voyager, in Sapporo, Hokkaido, when one day at work, she hears her rant about her ex-boyfriend airing on the radio. It turns out her newly made drinking partner, who she had shared this with, is the director of the local station MRS. She immediately storms the station and after an impromptu on-air stunt, ends up with an offer to join the station. What's the show about? Crazy, unpredictable stories that might be real and might not.
Well, okay, I want to find out if they are real or not. That would be... All right, yeah, no, that picked up the list. There was some...
And
there was, as with all Japanese...
wait, this might be a selling point. On the poster, she's screaming into a microphone while riding a big grizzly bear.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm 100% sold. I think the thing is with anime, and especially with like reading seasonal lists like this, anime has such a wide variety of just topical choices and genres and everything that it can be really weird. Sometimes there's just anime that you're just like, not for me. Like, as I've said, slice of life, not really my thing. But yeah, it's interesting to always jump in and to test every kind of genre. It's really fun.
So maybe you'll hear about some of these in the coming months.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, let's move into what did we end up watching. So, Dylan, what did we end up watching?
We ended up watching Before Sunrise, the 1999 romantic film that you're about to give us the credits for.
All right, I have an admittedly insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just gonna haunt me the rest of my life. I have no idea what your situation is, but I feel like we have some kind of connection, right?
Yeah, me too.
Great. So listen, here's the deal. This is what we should do. You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town. We just got into Vienna today, and we're looking for something fun to do. Sprechen Sie English?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Do you speak German for a change?
Now I'm gonna call my best friend in Paris, who I'm supposed to have lunch with in 8 hours. Okay?
Okay.
Ring, ring. Pick up the phone.
Hello?
I don't think I'm gonna be able to make it for lunch today, I'm sorry. I met a guy on the train and I got off with him in Vienna. We're still there.
Are you crazy?
Probably.
Yes, the 1995 film, directed by Richard Linklater, starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy, in which, while travelling on a train in Europe, Jesse, an American man, meets Celine, a French woman. On his last day in Europe, before returning to the US, he decides to spend his remaining hours with her. So Dylan, I was actually surprised to see you hadn't watched this film previously.
Yeah, I would consider the Before trilogy in the upper sections of my pile of ashamed I haven't watched them.
I mean, for me, it's somewhere in the mid because there's a lot more list of shame ahead of it.
Yeah, you've got a way bigger list of shame than I fucking do, though. So, and I've watched like a big chunk of Linklater's filmography. So for whatever reason, I never got around to this, you know. And it's so funny because I've watched like all of his other main things, you know, Dazed and Confused to Boyhood, Scanner Darkly, fucking whatever else. But for whatever reason, the Before trilogy, I never got to it. So now it's the time to finally watch it. And I'll say, this is a fantastic movie. I really like this. And before we go further, I will say, Richard Linklater makes movies like this. He makes since you're just talking about anime, most of his movies are equivalent of like day in the life type stuff. Like
literally in this case.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of his movies are just about nothing. And he's done that since Dazed and Confused, like his first movie, the film that brought us Matthew McConaughey going, all right. Like all of his movies primarily are just about nothing really. They're about characters. They're about something. And the biggest thing of that he's ever done is obviously Boyhood, which was the movie he spent 12 years filming periodically like with this real life kid as he grew up and whatever. And that movie's about nothing other than that boy growing up. So I like the way he makes these types of movies and just focuses on character and whatever else. And I really, really enjoyed this. But obviously there's, aside from getting into the nitty gritty and kind of boiling down each scene and why it's so well performed, because I think that's why the movie's so great, because the two stars have such great chemistry, especially from the get-go. This movie works because from the moment the movie starts and these two main characters sit down next to one another, you're never like, will they fall in love? It's just straight away the chemistry is like this, like, and you're like, oh, they definitely, like, you buy into it automatically. So then the movie kind of gets to push you through the rest of it and just see it grow from there. But they don't have to spend half the movie going like, would they even work as a couple? Like for some reason they click, and I think that's an important part for it. And then everything after that is just these great little tangential scenes as you see them, these two characters, I guess, pull at threads on one another as they get to learn more about each other slowly and surely, and open up a bit more and be a bit more honest with one another. And I think some of the best scenes are when they're kind of obviously hinting at stuff that the other person would disagree with, and even if they're not being super honest about that. I found that stuff, it's supposed to be a little bit awkward, I guess, at times, but it's some of the more interesting stuff. And overall, I really, really enjoyed it, and I want to watch the next two ASAP.
Wait, there's more? Okay.
There's two more.
It's a trilogy currently.
Oh, okay.
So, Ciaran, what do you think of the film? Because, as you said before, this isn't the slice of life stuff. It's not your speed.
I can't believe Dylan made us watch this. This is shit. It's shot shit. I just don't like the main character. He's not very likable. No, I wish I could say that. I wish I could give revenge for ruining my precious Limitless. But you know what? When I started watching this movie, I did very much go, "Oh, this is slice of life. This could be a long hour 40. Like this could be okay. Let's." But honestly, I really enjoyed the amount of time that the movie gives the characters to get into some really interesting intellectual discussions. It's like it engages me in a point where it would be a conversation I would love to have with somebody and just sit down and talk to for hours and get to know. Like, it's just, it's not, there's these conversations that aren't just surface level. They're not just your traditional kind of rom-com or romantic movie garbage. It's actual intellectual discussions about their lives or about how they feel or their opinions. And both actors do a fantastic job of making it feel like it's their opinions. This is how they feel. They are the characters. They're not just reading lines. And I just really, really enjoy the time it gives the characters to breathe and just interact with each other. And it's amazing just how much of this movie is just the two of them talking. And
that's the whole movie.
That's the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's just them talking, and even like it makes the final shot of the movie of Ethan Hawke alone, Jesse alone on the bus. It makes that almost feel jarring that he doesn't have her there with him to play off or interact with or talk to. Even it isn't even down to just their conversations, but it was their body chemistry and their physical interaction throughout the movie that evolved. That by the later portions of that, you see them more as a couple, like more as some kind of relationship compared to most people who have just met each other. The amount of time they're given to get to know each other and really talk through everything is probably vastly more than a normal relationship gets. So it's fantastic to see this, and for it to end in the way it does. I'm interested in the fact that there is a sequel and a third movie now, because part of me was like, at the end of this, I was like, wow, okay, they're not pulling the trigger and being like, no, we're going to stay together. We're not going to like the fact that it ends with this almost being like, other than them making a date for a later meeting, it ends with the very much feeling that this could be the one and only day these two spend together, and it's a relationship that is so pure and so real that it almost feels hard as me as the audience to let go of that relationship on their behalf, even.
Yeah. I really enjoy the film as well. I mean, for two people, I think one of the things I learned in like studying film and that kind of thing is you don't put two people in a room together just talking, because that's not very cinematic or anything. But this movie is just that for 96 minutes, and it is one of the most enthralling things you can watch. Just the little things. I think one of the scenes I really appreciated was the one where they're listening to the record in the listening room, and they both want to be looking at each other, but they're like not sure if the other person's feeling the same way, so they're constantly like avoiding eye contact. Especially given the song that's playing, which is like super romantic and that kind of thing. Yeah. I thought it was such a beautifully shot scene. Just this whole thing is like beautifully shot. Obviously, they were in Budapest. in Austria, Vienna. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
The entire time. So look, just obviously beautiful locations. But yeah, a lot of they just stay on them for extended periods, like locked off camera and just following them, like as they have these long monologues that surely took a long time to rehearse. It feels kind of like a play, I guess, to that extent. But yeah, amazing. The chemistry they've clearly got is why there's another 2 films. And it kind of, again, broke Ethan Hawke, I think. Like, Ethan Hawke is one of the most underrated actors out there, I think, yeah.
The other thing of the writing is apparently... So on both sequels, they're both credited as writers alongside Linklater.
Yeah.
And apparently they did help write sections of the script or rewrite sections of the script after they would start practicing their lines, and they would be like, well, this feels more natural, this and this, and they'd start tweaking stuff. But they never got credited on the first movie, but they get credited for the 2 sequels after. So I think a lot of it comes down to that they got so attached to and into their characters that they start not just being like, not letting the director-writer just have final say, and it became a collaborative process for the 3 of them over the next 20 odd years as they make the next 2 sequels between these 2 characters to see what's happening. Because that's the other thing, but the sequels are 9 years apart. Like, this comes out in 1995, the next one comes out 2005 or whatever, and then the next one, and then the third and final film comes out 2013. So, currently. And that, yeah, well... And that's like his mini version of Boyhood as well, where it's not they come out 90 spoilers for the second movie, like the synopsis, but the setup for the second movie is it's been 9 years since they last saw each other and they bump into each other again. I haven't looked up what the synopsis for the third movie is because I don't want to spoil it for myself yet, but that's like the
just
setup
spoil the
there.
second one for us.
Well, I mean, it's a synopsis. If you go watch the fucking trailer,
it's fine. I already knew. It's all good.
Yeah, so it's like he's done the same. It's like it's his mini version of doing Boyhood, I guess, because it's there was like 9 years in real lifetime between all of these movies, and then the characters also have gone through 9 years between them, and then I guess everyone as a real life person gets to bring their experiences in their life to these characters and so on and so forth, which is going to be interesting to watch going forward because everyone's so young in this. Like, I think this is the youngest I think I've seen Ethan Hawke in quite some time. I haven't watched any of his really early stuff since. Well, for at least like 10 plus years. I don't know, like when I watched Training Day or whatever the fuck. So that was like ages ago. I would have watched it in high school.
Yeah. Really great film. I am disappointed about one thing. I'm very disappointed they didn't go to the play. I think that would have been interesting to see.
I really liked the setup for it. Like, just the talk with the 2 Germans or Austrian actors was very funny and interesting, and it was a good icebreaker for those 2 as characters as they were going out into Vienna.
Yeah, well, that scene's funny. They're just walking along. You can tell they're both like really awkward. Strangers just jumped off this train together to spend a day together. It's like, this is a great bridge, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's a great bridge. And it's like, well, this is fucking awkward, isn't it? Like, what are we supposed to do? So, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, pretty bold.
But also, this movie is just like such a great example of why those cheaply rushed rom-com things, they're just those movies are literally just like Hallmark love stories where nothing seems to make any sense and everyone just falls head over heels for whoever they've got to, and all of a sudden everything's happy-dory, whereas this movie tells an actual much more realistic, obviously, take of how 2 human beings actually would interact with each other over the process of a day and slowly flirt with one another to the point that they can be like, hey, we're kissing now, kind of thing, you know, like, and it feels real, it feels natural, and that's why it's special.
Cool. Yeah, really good film. So when are we watching the second one?
I was about to say, we can watch both. We can watch the next ones, and then we can do a follow-up segment special.
Listen, I think we need to. We'll meet up again in 6 months' time. We'll do.
Yeah.
Yep. Mark it in your calendars 6 months from now. Before sunset and before midnight double feature for What Do You Want to Watch?
I ain't waiting 6 months. I'm sorry.
Okay, so next, probably
next episode.
Maybe like a special episode. We'll put something out because Dylan can't wait. All right, that's it for this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Of course, if you want to check us out on Twitter, you can go to explosionnetwork.com/Twitter, or you can just go to explosionnetwork.com. You can see all our news articles, all our reviews, all our podcasts. Everything is there. If you want to send us a message, just email us at mail@explosionnetwork.com. And if you want to have us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser, or tweet something nice at us on Twitter, or tell your family about how this episode was the greatest preview of Quibi content on the internet. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess. Preferably in landscape mode.
You made a mistake with that fucking bringing up that news story.
That was the best content